welcome out to another top 5. This one is actually painful.
Very painful.
Very painful, especially
Painful on the hands and the soul.
It's awful, but we're doing the top 5 worst video game controllers. Now, it's a tough list because there's so many bad ones. We're excluding light guns, so those of you who are thinking we're gonna put the fire thing on there, what is that called?
Fire!
Yeah, no, none of that. But I'll tell you what, this is a great list. We're just gonna get straight to it.
I gotta say this. I gotta have an honorable mention here.
All right.
And it's not the controller pissed me off. It was the cord. The Dreamcast controller.
See,
listen. It was awesome. It was really easy to use.
D-pad was great.
D-pad was great, and it also had the memory card thing, which was really cool. I enjoyed that. But
why have the controller at the bottom?
Why have the controller thing at the bottom?
And
then have an attachment up top. I mean. And all the secondary ones, the Mad Catz version of theirs, sucked.
If you had the rumble pack slid in, you couldn't slip in the controller to the grip at the back. No. Anyway, I understand the cord was terrible.
Controller itself was good, but I gotta throw it as an honorable mention.
All right,
I have to.
Well, let's get right to the list.
Number 5.
At number 5 is a controller that I don't even have in my collection. I should. I know I'm bad, but
let's define what a chode is. A chode is a penis that is the same width as it is girth, or length as it is girth.
Is that what a
chode
is?
It's basically like a cylinder, like a perfect box.
Are you sure that's what a chode is?
That's what I've always been told.
Okay, well,
it's like short and fat.
Yeah, the Xbox, a regular Xbox controller that launched with the system, it was so fat. I mean, I even have big hands. It's made for adults. They want older gamers, but even with my big hands, it was uncomfortable. It was
stupid.
Yeah, and you're holding it like this, and then it's like you're about to eat a big burger.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was I don't even know.
I remember especially playing Halo 1 and doing LAN parties and things like that with that. You'd always have like one guy who'd come show up late, and you'd always have you had like two chodes, because you had it first before the other one's controller, so he would get it. You'd be like, you get the chode. And he's like, oh, come on, man. You're like, sorry, you showed up late.
You don't get the S-type. You get
you get the chode.
The Gigantor piece
You know who did like the chodes, though? Classy Man.
Really?
Classy Man loved the chode.
That's crazy.
He still loves the chode to this day.
Number 4.
Number 4 is the Power Glove.
Yes.
It's so bad.
It is so bad. Totally cool. Everybody as a kid wanted it, and it turned out to be awful. Yes, you had to put these sensor bars above your TV, and then it had little things to aim on it. And then the D-pad. Like most of the time, all you're gonna do is play the game like this, and it was just so hard to control. And you had to program each game. You had to type in the right codes so the hand would work for that specific game. Terrible, terrible, terrible controller.
I think we've gotten more use out of this controller in our videos, like screwing around.
Yeah, it's more fun to make fun of or to talk about from the movie The Wizard than it is to play with. If you've ever played with one, it's not cool, but everybody has to have one. See, that's why it's not number 1, because even though it's that bad, you still want to put it on.
You know what? And it feels cool to wear. Like I want a controller like this that actually works.
Yeah. Maybe, or it's kind of like if you had 2 Wiimotes and gloves or something like that.
You can feel it. It's like you're putting on like an exoskeleton suit.
Yeah, but it is totally terrible. If you've ever used it, you'll regret ever using it, ever.
Number 3.
And number 3 is actually a system with very, very few games, the Jaguar. Now, this controller, if you can see here, is actually awful. It's got, the D-pad and 3 buttons, kind of like a Sega Genesis, but then it has a number, numeric pads down here to do specific things. And they came with these overlays. So you slid in the overlays into the controller, like this, and then, you could see the map button, or this is Wolfenstein, change the music, whatever you want to do. But what would happen is, because it's just a flat surface on buttons, you'd hit music and you'd accidentally hit the one above it and, pause the game. Or hit the game mode, right? Hit the map screen accidentally. It was cool. The overlay is interesting idea, but the controller felt so uncomfortable. The D-pad, think about the Xbox 360 D-pad, but worse. Just awful. And of course, the buttons barely even push down, and I feel that.
The thing is like with a lot of they didn't do a lot of research on how this is going to fit in your hands.
There's just no way to really hold it properly. It's awful, and it didn't help that it was on the Jaguar and they didn't have very many good games. but it's incredibly awkward to play.
Well, and anytime you need to access any of this stuff, you literally have to let go one. It's not like you can really slip your thumbs down while you're playing. You have to completely
Yeah,
let go to press 0.
extremely uncomfortable, totally not worth having. This is why one of the major reasons why the Jaguar failed was because specifically their control.
Number 2.
Number 2 is also from a failed console, the Atari 5200. Now, look at this thing. I really liked how the controllers fit in the top of the machine. Very, very cool. Except when you see the controller itself. Now, as you can see, mine is actually taken apart right now, trying to fix them. But these things, cool idea to have a little joystick, a numeric pad, whatever. This thing broke every 5 seconds. I've never, I've bought a couple of these machines. Every one of them has broken controllers that don't work.
I think you have one controller that works out of everything.
Maybe. They might work, but it's going to break in 5 seconds after you play it. So, it was okay to play like this. I mean, it's the old school
The
games.
numeric pads sucked.
Yeah, it had button overlays just like the Jaguar,
Yeah.
but this one is even worse than the Jaguar because, it just breaks.
Well, not only
5
that, but I
seconds.
remember playing with this. And you have buttons on the sides too. And I remember it was like they're so close together. Like if my finger's over here, if I'm holding the controller like this or like this, I'm gonna accidentally depress these buttons
Yeah, don't forget you have buttons
and,
at the top.
and press all 3 of them at the same time or something like that. It's just like,
This is the worst.
I mean, I can feel this is just busted.
It's the worst system design ever, along with the worst controllers ever, and that is why the Atari 5200 sucks so much ass. It was.
It's doing its own thing now.
Yeah, no, it's not worth it. The Atari 5200 can blow.
Number 1.
And the number 1 worst controller of all time, and yes, there were 2 versions of it.
You got the fancy version though,
Actually, I have the wireless CDI version of it. Now,
which works even worse.
it works even worse than the one that you plug in. But basically, you have a cylinder round pad in the middle that you're supposed to try to hold down. It's worse than a D-pad to move around. And then you have 3 buttons that barely work, but you had to aim it perfectly at the system itself. One cool thing that I guess you could say is it had a little, hidden area, but all it is to play DVDs or
what?
CD, whatever it is.
Yeah, CD, TV. But you know what though? I will say that they did try something different with this controller, making it more of a TV remote.
Yeah. See, this is like the failed version of a Wiimote, straight up. Also, the battery pack on the back, most of them broke off because it had just a really tiny piece of plastic. You can see I used a screw to hold mine on, so the batteries don't fall out. But you can't play anything with this game. Even if Zelda CDI or any, the Wand of Gamillion or whatever was any good, this would hold you back. I mean, Hotel Mario, platforming type of game, you can't play with this.
No,
you have to hold right if you feel like the battery's about to die and you can barely hold
You
down
have
the button.
no idea if you're even pressing a button.
Yeah, if you're pushing right
idea.
or left. Now, the one that was actually hooked up to the system itself, you had a little like joystick area, but it was still terrible. This one is even worse, and it was made after that.
There's no dip.
No, there's nothing. You don't even know what you're doing. It's like a prop Star Trek phaser that doesn't control anything. But that is the top 5 worst gaming controllers. Now, I know there are other ones that are really bad, but if you've ever played these ones, you will definitely agree with us.
Can we blow this up?
Wait, sure?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's explode it.